live with the consequences.
Yo-yo.
Ding 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 ding.
Tour Gamor, Stalker Children, has stepped down from his lofty clouds, where he enjoys um, dazzling success as the host of the Anime Booma podcast, and has graced us all with his presence. And he has decided to uh, he's decided to issue an apology regarding the Kiki the pedophile anime VTuber thing. So here's his apology. You ready, champ?
Hello, I am the Geta Gamer, host of the Anime Boomer podcast. I am making this video to speak directly to you, the fans of Anime Boomer podcast, and everyone who support the VTuber industry. First of all, I deeply apologize for causing concern to many people. Please allow me this time to address your concern. First, let me apologize for a misunderstanding. In regard to association with a particular VTuber, I have no relationship, friendship, or otherwise closer association with a particular VTuber. For the safety of myself and others, I chose to move on from support. I did not know the backstory nor history of this particular VTuber. Most of my exposure to this particular VTuber was through collaboration of other VTuber. I am a viewer of many VTuber, went to many meet and greet at Off-Kai Expo that were not live. This is not indicative of the level of support of any one particular VTuber. There is much misinformation regarding which VTuber I follow is number one. That has been and remain former rainpuff of Niji Sanji Ian and any future incarnation. I deeply regret this outcome and will be rethinking how I support VTuber in the future. I regret the way this has negatively affected the VTuber industry, where VTuber not involved have been receiving hurtful messages. I deeply apologize to the VTuber and to everyone that supports them. We are taking this situation very seriously. We will be implementing several new internal systems to ensure that this kind of situation does not occur in the future. To everyone who has and continues to support VTuber, I am very sorry that situations were allowed to arise where our actions resulted in problems for you and your community. I feel that should never be the case. Once more, personally, and on behalf of our podcast, I apologize to you all for causing concern. As the Anime Boomers podcast, we will do everything we can to ensure that we create and maintain an environment where VTuber can succeed in their creative endeavors. Thank you.
Okay, if you are confused by this, do not worry. Also, if the fan is too loud, let me know. What he is doing is imitating the Niji Sanji apology. A long time ago, I think we even covered this on stream, a big production company called Niji Sanji let go one of their VTubers, who was a Japanese American with a mostly American audience. She had a mental breakdown and was let go, and Americans who were confused at why who were confused and didn't really empathize with the Japanese like slave workforce culture were very angry at them. So they had to come out. By the way, this is one of the most cringe fucking things ever. Watch this shit. When a Japanese person like fucks up business, they have to do like a full bow to the audience. It's so creepy. I don't know why. And then I said this to the VTubers, like, you don't even understand a culture that has respect for their fellow man like Japan does. I don't know. I just don't want niggas bowing at me and shit. I ain't no fucking slave driver over here. I just want to know why they fired the weirdo. Anyways, that's what he's making fun of. I don't know. Can I riff off this? Hello, Gator. The Gator game on. You say that you did not know that she was a pedophile, but yet she did big stream where she said for hours about her weird fetishes, and said that she drove off to ritual girls. That you... do not seem phased by this, and you have not even acknowledged this. And you went to a convention center and talked to an iPad and even took a selfie with the iPad and then sent your selfie with yourself next to an iPad to Rambot. And then you also said that it was I who misunderstood the context of this conversation. By the way, so this this apology satisfies nobody, because obviously obviously you fucking knew, like, come on. And then on the second one it's like,
morning bud,
you're throwing her under the bus. Like, here's the thing, right? And I think that even honest, how do I refer to them?
stopping by for a bit, drinking my coffee.
If you are a performer who does a character in the VTuber sphere, and you're intellectually honest, I think it would be pretty fair to say that anime culture is adjacent, directly intermingled with the lolicon shit. And it's very hard in the West to not outright call that pedophilia, because it's obvious. It's very creepy, it's very weird. There's a reason why a lot of people don't stick that to their name. You might have personalities that defend it or whatever, or say they're into it, but you're not going to find a real person with a real name saying that, because it's obvious what it is. So when Gator tries to placate one side because Kiki is very fucking gross by throwing her under the bus, well, you can't do that. You're in a no-win situation, because the responses to this are going to be negative. I bet you if I open the replies, they're all going to be negative. How do you respond to allegations of you being into lolly fecal matter consuming porn? Is it true in the VTuber in question we're seen together at a love hotel after the con? So this guy is in on the joke, even though it's a bad joke. Parroting a bad company is a snarky way to toss someone like yesterday's garbage is an option, I guess. A very bad option, but one that fits you, I suppose. This is the most
for fuck's sake, I've been muted this. I've been muted this whole time. Damn it.
Whatever it may be, this guy is saying what I
been talking to myself this entire time.
You can't really denounce Kiki and her weird fucked up fetishes.
Well, thank you guys for swinging by. Anyways.
If you denounce the law,
yeah, I'm about to go over the.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I do it too.
Kool-Aid Classic Tevin. But I'm going to go over the recent Rekietas happenings in a bit. Just kind of setting stuff up over here.
I think you should refrain from naming any VTubers that you watch. You'll only end up invoking the tipster effect on them. This guy, who is probably like an actual fan of Gators, he's like begging him, please don't involve any of my anime babes in your fucking podcast, because you're a fucking loser and everyone hates you. And if you try to be friendly with them, you'll attract negative attention to them. But that's not gonna happen. Like, the whole reason why Gator does
Do
this
Your Thing was
podcast is to
laughing at
talk to
DSP
anime
running
babes,
from the first boss in the
like
BLC.
spooky weed trash and shit. Like, this is just an avenue of, like, meeting girls in the space. He's gonna want to have as many VTubers as guests on his show as possible. I am almost certain you were aware of her tag tier list stream, as it is her most popular stream, and it would have been how a lot of people found her. I think you have been stuck to your guns here. It would have been more interesting to see, but oh well. Is this the same guy as up here? I swear I saw him twice. No, I'm confusing him. Yeah, I mean, there's no way he didn't. Get on Ozempic. People will take you more seriously. Seems racist to me. Okay, but did you smash? That was gay. Look, son, a fucking idiot.
Alligator.
Well, DSP and
Bottoms
Nick.
up, everybody.
Hey, Mr. Ari Boomer. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for swinging by.
My stream today.
I'm going over the recent Nick Rekietas stuff. Chat has gone really dark, by the way, with recent allegations of him giving coke to his 9-year-old daughter. It's really dark stuff.
Allegations of cult.
But yet, he came back to streaming instead of
deal with the God every time I switch
dealing
over,
with his legal matters, and he has been
this is why
as prickly as he could. He's really not helping himself.
Slam and Salmon. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's fantastic. All right, Nick, allegations of cult leaderness, and she titled this one Reculta. Alyssa's funny. Here we go.
Nick, I heard you're a cult leader now. Now? On a scale from Charles Manson to Jim Jones, how bad is it? No big deal. We still love you. As long as you don't go full
It's
Waco.
a very sad
Never go
affair.
full Waco.
One of documents alleged PCP
You know what?
use as well.
Let's just remember who killed everybody at Waco.
Oh, get it? The government. So him having 26 grams of cocaine in his house that I've seen firsthand.
Yeah, I went to
myself.
Kiwi Farms and got my hands on those documents.
Children at Waco.
Yeah. Basically, what don't you get?
Me getting arrested in
And it's
my
really
filthy,
eye-opening.
disgusting, looks like a fucking squatter lives their home with my
The
wife
children
and
don't
my
deserve
slam
this.
piece.
They most
both
definitely
arrested,
don't.
All of us at the same time, with 26
The
grams of cocaine, a shitload
only
of guns, and
real
our kids just
victims in
walking
all of
around
this are
stinky
the
and
children,
starving
and
with
there are really
change of
no
clothes.
good or
This
bad
is
sides
children.
in this whole
It's the
thing.
Bottom line.
Everyone's just being a prick,
Cat-
me
oh,
included.
who's
I'm
doing
getting great
ketamine?
entertainment out of this.
That's the same thing as the government killing all the children at Waco. You know, Nick, if we compared the Waco murdering, the government's murder of children at Waco, and then went to the roles
But hey,
of
this
Candy,
is the
Ohio
internet.
County Police and you were far closer to
Quandio High County.
Quandio High County. I apologize, Keanu. You were a lot closer to causing the death of children than the
And he
Candy,
also
Ohio County
streamed
Police
a couple of
Department was.
hours
Now,
ago.
neither of you were
Well,
killing
with a couple of
children,
hours ago, I mean like 6
but if
hours
you're
ago.
trying to look, again,
And
Nick, like a lot of your metaphors
right
and dog shit,
at the
they
beginning,
initially suck.
there's a clip of him
But
talking
you
to
were harming
someone.
children
That's someone
far more
sounding
than the
very
Candy,
much
Ohio
like
County Police
April,
Department was.
this guy's ex-wife.
So, if you're
So
gonna make the argument,
yeah, it's
who
pretty
killed
much
all the
confirmed that
children at
April's
Waco?
living with
Yeah,
them.
the
And
government. So what a piece of
more
shit
likely
you
than not, are both
that
doing
the
coke.
government was less harmful
Hey.
towards children in your case than you were.
Hello, how long?
And by the way,
Thank
who's
you for
harming
swinging
children at
by.
Waco? Well, there's pretty good allegations that David Koresh was
Come
molesting
along
them.
if you can't
So,
sing along has just swung by.
too.
May he swing by many
Both of
more.
them.
This is
You know,
really weird. I have that
I
message
hate to
set for
turn-
everyone
I
who
hate to
enters
turn,
the stream, but
government
for
and
some
David
reason
Koresh's
only
relationship
plays
into
for a few
Post Malone
people.
song, but they had some help.
Might as well
They
just
had some
remove
help.
it.
They had some help. Some quelp.
See, now I feel like I'm not saying you're going too far, but it sounds like you're reaching.
Going to. Quost Malone.
You know, I think. There you go. That's your answer there. No, I'm not a cult
Okay,
leader
and
now,
also
but
now you gotta pause again.
Yep.
If you back up, he keeps reaching down for something. He's a bit
Oh, you think it's-
unstable. He didn't like that question. He question. Everything with a Q now. My mind is blown. He didn't like that question. He tried to make a shitty joke.
Yeah, he keeps grabbing his armpit
Good
or
morning at Hum Along if you can't sing along. It's
grabbing
Serpentine
underneath.
and Tyrone D.
Grabbing underneath his armpit, and my theory is that it's a tick that you have or get from smoking or drinking a lot. I used to smoke a lot, and after I stopped, I had this tick. I had to hold something between my fingers, and it took me a couple of months to get rid of that. And I guess with the drinking it's the same. This guy was always streaming with a glass of, well, alcohol in his hand, and now that he's trying to not drink during the streams, which exit out for that one, that tick's still there. So the way to cope with it in this case is by grabbing his armpit, which is kind of gross.
Yeah.
That, like, you know, so, well, look at this. Duh, duh, duh. He is extremely nervous
Yeah.
here.
His
Obviously.
tells are painful. He has painful tells.
It's
You've
bizarre.
you've definitely rattled him because these are all of your, accusations and
He's
whatnot.
like, what? Loosen my tie.
Yeah.
What do you mean a cult? Waco.
Cults.
It's the government's fault, I tell ya. Like,
How about that government, huh? Remember when they burned down Waco 30 fucking years ago?
Distract. My children are
People really going in hard on him.
Yeah.
On one side and the government
shitty
on the
cult
other
leader, dude.
side.
Cult leaders
I
at least keep
do
the
not
children
envy
from
his
it.
position
For Christ's sake. Yeah.
You know, I
or a situation.
For Christ's sake.
think. There you go. That's your answer there. No, I'm not
There
a
you go.
cult
That's
leader
your
now. I've
answer
been a
there.
cult leader forever.
Anyway, cool.
Oh, you missed that here.
There you go. That's your answer there. No, I'm not a cult leader now. I've been a cult leader forever. God.
You know what's really good when you're facing accusations and you're under charges? Sarcasm is always good. Nick, don't ever stop doing this. Keep doing these fucking local streams. They're just add another 6 months onto the sentence every time you do one of these.
Yeah, they must be just be looking at it like, is he retarded? Like,
And then they look at the haircut and they go,
Yeah,
guys, he's retarded.
You kind of turn
Yeah,
retarded
actually.
when you get addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
pretty retarded.
It's drug addict
Yeah,
behavior.
the detectives and the prosecutors have to be watching this stuff and going, he knows the cameras are on, right? Like he knows this is recorded and we can see this.
Recorded.
Recorded.
God.
No,
I hope the Candy, because there may or may not be steel toe listeners in the Candy Ojai County government, and I would love if like one of the discussions at the police station today is, guys, did you hear about cover?
I know, they're like, why is this man making it so easy? Like,
seen allegations of cult leaderness, and I was like, I've watched documentaries on cult leaders, and those guys are like way good at it. Like they're really good at it. And I know I'm doing something wrong.
Thank God you're not.
You know, you have no idea how accurate what you just said was. Thank God for Freudian slips. I know I'm doing something wrong. That's the closest this motherfucker's ever come to admitting that he's done anything wrong.
I know I'm doing something wrong because my cult didn't work. Also, I compared it to a cult. I didn't say you were a cult leader. Who would follow you?
They compared your personality. We said that broken women will follow you. That's
Broken,
about it.
right? Like my friend April, who was broken down by you. So
Again, Nick,
I compared it to it, but that's not. I'm not saying you have a full. You don't have to, go to the post office and say I would like to start a cult. Like, I mean, it's not that. I'm just saying it's pretty culty the way you're acting, and my friend April is definitely been influenced by you. That's where the comparison comes, you stupid fuck.
Yeah, Nick,
Okay.
I influenced her and she took up golf and Vikings games.
Yeah. Ah.
Oh, boy. Sorry, buddy.
This is another one. The girl talking is a friend of April, the co-core, staying with him right now. And this is why I have the... I think he legitimately trying to start a sex cult. Because he has been... he has been in this lady, her name is Keanu, he has been in her DMs trying to convince her that he's a good guy and that Aaron is wrong. He's trying to get her on his camp. And I suspect he has this fantasy of Keanu and April both snorting coke off his dick and sucking it. And yeah, you can imagine the rest.
I got the A side, you got the B side. Sorry about that, pal.
I know, like, I am definitely a cult leader, but I know I'm just like, I'm working at being better at it. Like, I'm really taking some time to work on myself to kind of figure that out. Because those guys, they have like conferences and shit. They get these giant, like.
This is the Denny's joke again. This is like, it's bombing, it's terrible, so let's just lean the fuck in and keep... This is the Denny's cop joke.
Instead of saying, oh, I'm grossly unfunny. No,
Yeah.
it was funny and you don't understand.
Nick,
Okay.
let me tell you something. Don't stop. Just keep going. I mean, more and more of these. In fact, I don't think you're doing enough of them.
I agree.
I think you've got to do more of these for sure.
I think you
Like-
should.
You watch the documentaries about those, about the cult leader, or about like the cult conferences and the shit that they did, like that Nexium stuff. And you're watching, you're like, oh my god, they had like these huge conferences where they'd rent out these giant like forest complexes with that like, with hundreds or thousands of people there. They're all paying, and I'm like,
It's time to stop making decisions, buddy, okay?
how'd they figure that shit out?
Wow.
How do they do that? So, but it's yeah, I'm trying.
Fuck off and shut the fuck up!
It's just... I've never seen someone so bad at all of it. All of it. Like, it's just, he's bad at all of it. I can't pick out one particular thing. He's overwhelming us with suck.
I don't know why he would be doing this.
But don't stop. Again,
Yeah.
because Nick, I have to say, we're all having a really good time.
Yeah, it's definitely not a rocky time.
It's a lot of fun. I have to say.
It's wild.
I'm enjoying your downfall. Even while my own life is still picking up the pieces slowly but surely. I'm enjoying
I
you.
don't mind you enjoying his downfall. I don't give a fuck about him. I hate that. I just hope. I mean, it's hilarious to watch him. I wonder what April's thinking at night.
April and Kayla
I
are
wonder. Yeah.
April and Kayla are the ones doing it right.
Yeah, stay
Well,
quiet. Oh,
I mean, what
yeah.
they should do is be cooperating with CPS and working on getting the kids back. I mean, they need to do more if they're not doing that. They need to work on taking responsibility for what we all did and then getting your kids back. But like, at least they're shutting the fuck up.
I say this for April, and I guess I'm going to say it for Kayla too. The three of them should, if they are in any contact with each other, which I guess they are, they shouldn't be. If they want to come back into their throuple when they're sober and over all this shit, it would be like a Lifetime film, I guess. Fine.
So when you're
right
sober,
now,
yeah.
I think it's not the best time. They're obviously not all the best influences on each other. How about that?
There was one day where Nick and Kayla took the kids somewhere in the Mustang, and then I took April I had to take April to her truck because she wanted to go to the doctor because she had a fucking sinus infection again. She was mad because Kayla got to ride in the Mustang and not her, so she was mad at Nick.
Listen, it's like sent to them what they're saying and doing. Like, I've ever been an angel, but I've never been an addict. No, really.
Yeah, or like Kayla would sit down in the street night, and April threw a fucking fit I came home from boxing early because April's like, she's going down there and she doesn't give a shit about his fucking show, and he's told me that she ruined that fucking show for him and he didn't love it anymore because of her, and that's not for her, that's my spot. And I'm like, Jesus.
Sounds pretty sister.
My bad for the technical issues. I think I'm overloading the CPU, so I'm turning off some stuff.
She goes, when the cover with a Q, that's what Kayla called the four of us, cover with a Q. She had a name for it.
Wait.
Yeah.
The four of you were called the cover?
Yeah, with a Q.
Does it get more culty than that?
Have I not said that publicly?
You never said it to me. I don't think publicly. I haven't seen every moment of your program. Spelled
Q-O-V-E-R. Kayla came up with that name. She wanted a name for the four of us. She came up with cover.
Okay. Jesus God.
Q-O-V-E-R.
Go ahead.
We all promised that if it dissolved, we wouldn't go after each other online. Well, you guys also probably would have promised you'll never get arrested. We all have things to lose. What if it gets back to Ashley, mother of my children, that you enjoyed Molly quite often and had a relationship outside your marriage with someone you brought around the kids? You are not invincible. It's not.
So it's basically like, shut your mouth, or we're gonna tell your ex-wife that you partook in drugs with us. And I mean, that's pretty damn threatening.
Yeah, had a relationship outside your marriage. First of all, if there's anybody in this world who's going to believe that I had a relationship,
and Aaron's slowly starting to realize that they manipulated him into being a cuck.
Yeah,
which is really funny.
Yeah, what else you got? So then that pissed me off something fierce. So I wrote back to her. I go, first of all, I've already told my ex-wife about the things I've done.
They should have called each other the fantastic cooks.
You know, and by the way, for those of you who go, Aaron's lying about drugs and this and that. Well, that's a text from Kayla. That you enjoyed Molly quite a few times, as I said, as I admitted. And I said,
the fantastic cooks with a Q.
Don't ever threaten me with my children again. And she goes, it's not a threat. I'm just reminding you that you have things to lose too.
It's not a threat, it's a reminder.
Yeah.
Love
just goes to show how deep the degeneracy has gone on.
That is a fucking culty thing to do. Just so you know, if you keep talking about this, we may not be able to live
our lives
was
turning into a cult
as much as we'd like to, even though you're gone and we don't give a shit. So we're gonna say, just a reminder, you have 3 children and an ex-wife. Bitch, I know that. Thank you. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, does that sound like a way you talk to somebody you quote-unquote love or is your soulmate, quote-unquote?
And then they gaslight you and you go, don't threaten me. They go, no, we love you. This isn't a threat. It's just a reminder. We're looking out for you.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Suck my dick. Ew.
So you don't like that they called it a cover?
No, I don't. I don't like anything spelled with a Q.
You don't think that you think that might be a little culty?
Do I think it?
Yeah.
No, I know it. Convince me otherwise. QAnon, some weird Q question mark. Was there a question? I just wrote it down. I literally just wrote it down. Was there a weird upside down question mark at the end? Why come up like, we're just having fun, being adults with the kids out of the house. Oh, wait, they weren't out of the house. But also, we need a really creepy name for what we're doing, spelled with a Q. What? Oh, Jesus, God.
So here we go. Without further ado, the response to Keanu, and we're going to let Keanu just say pause, and we're going to let her go off here.
Yeah, this respect has been in her DMs.
Because people are like,
I can't see it.
Trying to seduce her.
There we go. Okay. There's our senior citizen.
Oh, there he is. He looks present.
Senior quitizen.
Nice Hollister shirt, homie. Okay.
All right, here we go.
Like the leaking DMs thing is funny because people are like, look at these DMs. It's like those DMs are literally just saying, hey, you know, your friend doesn't trust you because you're airing all their shit in public. Like you say you want to talk to your friend, but anytime that anything comes up, you're just airing her shit out in public. Like,
no, I didn't. I never read. I read maybe a part of maybe one of April's texts, but I'm not airing any of her shit out. None of it. Literally none of it. Hey, he wasn't like, hey, buddy, you wonder why your friend doesn't trust you. No, it was, hey, Keanu, this is what Aaron did, and I'm the supervillain, but if I'm the supervillain, he's also a villain. And also, fuck Aaron again. I mean, that's all it was. You're wondering, and I have been trying to get her to talk to you. I was just concerned that I hadn't heard from her. I'm not airing anything out. She's told me nothing. She has told me nothing other than, which I think is public knowledge, that she was like, you know, this isn't what I wanted. Aaron's been nasty and all of this. And then she told Gino, my fiance, but it's not me, that the Rekietas are good people. And that was concerning. But I never went and read her messages because I didn't have any from her.
Right.
So that makes no sense. It wasn't a very casual, hey, you wonder why your friend doesn't trust you? Fuck off, loser. And I didn't leak them. I read them. Maybe I will just post them, but I don't know. I feel like it's beneath me, but go on.
It was a 6-month process. Like, she hadn't heard from her friend, and one thing about addiction and people who enable addiction is that they cut you off from the people you care about. And this is Nick answering manipulation with more manipulation. He's going, well, your friend doesn't trust you. So the way I've manipulated her against you, I'm now pointing out that my manipulation worked, but I'm making that your fault.
He doesn't get the point at all of what I was saying.
Right.
What I was saying is, I don't care what you tell me. I want to hear from April. Also, the other point was, I don't think she should be, if she's not living with you, quote unquote, she's either living next door, whatever, or if she's not living with you at all, I don't think that she should be talking to you at all. And that's just my opinion, but I think that would make sense to any sane person. That's all I was saying, and that's all I kept saying to him. So yes, the message starts out with, let's just go back to it. You don't know enough about me to know anything different, but you know April. Okay, yes, I do. Haven't heard from her in a very long time. Bridesmaid in my wedding, agreed to it, very happy to do it. Haven't heard from her since, basically, other than a couple of texts. Aaron is flat out lying. That's the first thing. It wasn't, hey, buddy, I was just trying to tell you, maybe your friend doesn't trust you because you keep airing her stuff out.
Yeah,
no.
The first thing he does is try to defend himself.
Right. No. Not her. Nothing. Exactly. All right, go ahead.
All right.
Shit out in public, like maybe, like don't take my word for it. I don't do anything. I've been trying to get her to talk to you, and I think she should, but
that's my problem. You shouldn't still be talking to her.
This is elementary school level manipulate. This is simple brain shit.
I've just been trying to get her to talk to you. And then he says,
can I give one critic about your layout?
You specifically. Well, then why doesn't she?
Sure,
why
go ahead.
Our other friends of ours and Gino get a text back. I don't, but I've been trying to get her to talk to you specifically. And then he goes on to say, you know, Aaron left her stuff out in the rain. Okay. Wait, all right. But good. He's acting like shockingly cavalier. I read them.
Welcome to the stream, by the way.
He's like, I don't know, and just I shouldn't be talking to her because I, you know, got her addicted to cocaine and she got herself. I know, addicts, whatever. But we have mugshots together. But I'm very casual in the fact that I just wanted her to talk to her friend.
Nick,
suck my dick. You didn't.
Nick, fact remains.
Can you please make the chat text significantly bigger? Tears of joy.
None of these conversations are happening if you hadn't given April.
I can try. Let me adjust that.
Why she doesn't want to, and the person who wants her friend to talk to her says, see, and then airs it all out in public. It's like, All right. I mean, I guess.
These are messages from you, douchebag. They're not messages from her.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. That's what I'm concerned about. If this is the only way I can get her to, like, I don't know, hear me. But I'm not airing anything out about her because I don't know what the fuck is going on with her. All I have is you, cult leader, telling me what's going on, and that you're still talking to her is concerning. These are messages from you. I'm not airing anything out of her at all because I don't know, which is concerning. Anyway, gold.
It's very small on mobile.
In fuck.
You have a point. You have a point.
I want my friend to talk to me, and I'm like, I want your friend to talk to you too. I think that's a good idea because you guys are friends, and maybe just like don't like air all her shit out in public like you and your husband or your soon-to-be husband have been doing. And then
that's one thing. He read the messages on his.
Is this any better?
We are separate people. I know and I think it was for her own good.
Yeah.
But it remains to be seen if those messages are actually even from April. Those ones I think were. Right. The ones that he got after that, which I still didn't get, completely different. Yeah. Sounds like him. So that's my theory.
I'll say this, like, his little Babe in the Woods act is complete horseshit. Which is it, Nick? Are you the Joker? Are you this really smart, fucking with it, 2 steps ahead guy? Or are you, I'm just this guy who sent you a message and I want her to talk to you too? Even though I
want her to reach out to you. Yeah. You shouldn't want anything for her. Yeah. You should leave her the fuck alone. You, if you were a good guy, Nick Rekietas, would go, you know what? Even if she can't pull herself out of this situation that you dragged her into, he would go, okay, we shouldn't talk right now. Yeah. We should have no contact.
Nick, I know.
This got all messed up.
And then they're like, look at this, and air all this shit out in public. Okay. I mean, if that's some big revelation that I said, maybe like here's a way you could try and talk to your friend, and then they did the opposite
on the text
of what,
to see if it's significantly larger on mobile.
What you say?
I am saying random words to populate the text.
Wait a minute, way to pull up the nose of the plane at the end there, old Rackets. He goes, maybe if you, then you do the opposite of what I told you to do.
Because I am a godly man and I know better than you.
Nick, you almost spoke the truth. God, Nick is allergic to telling the truth. He's fucking allergic to it. He got that close. Maybe I told you how I would get her to respond to you, or then you go and you do the opposite of what I told you to do. Or I mean the opposite of what I think would be. Oh,
right, what
Nick.
I think is best for April. I'm airing out. I'm like, I'm not airing out anything, you douche.
Yeah, she aired out
I haven't heard from her, so how could I be?
Nick, I know you're upset and you don't like women very much, and you're upset that a woman called out your manipulations because you're not used to dealing with people like Keanu, and I mean that as a compliment. Right. You're not used to dealing with people like her. And so now you did, and you tripped over your dick and balls and looked like a fucking idiot. So now you're trying to spin it as you're the good guy. Nick, there ain't no spin in this one. You got caught trying to pull bullshit. You got called out, and now you're misrepresenting all of it.
And I think that, to quote a friend of mine, I won't even say it, but I felt like he felt like this was going to be his press release.
Yeah.
Because he goes, and I knew they'd get leaked. Yeah. Did I post them anywhere? No. But I read them. Because you come off to me, and I believe to sane
I put up my microscope thumbs up.
Like, I'm gonna deflect. You come off like a douchebag.
Hey, thanks for the feedback.
Hey, Keanu, just here's in April's best interest. Maybe if you just stop talking about her, she'll reach out to you. I'm just trying to be a good guy. No, it was 100 paragraphs about how you're an asshole. Then it says, peace to you, Keanu. Suck my dick. And I've been encouraging her to reach out to you. Again, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. You shouldn't be able to encourage her to do anything. You psycho. That's insane. If you were a good guy and a rational guy and atoning for what was going on, you'd say, April, as hard as it is, we can't speak right now.
Yeah.
Until all this is over. And maybe not even then.
That I said, maybe like here's a way you could try and talk to your friend, and then they did the opposite of what I would think.
Oh God, I love that struggle. That is perfect, Nick. Trying really hard to be honest and then choking on the words like ashes and then spitting out the lie. He wanted to say, and then you do the opposite of what I told you to do, you fucking girl.
Yeah, you stupid bitch. God.
Try and talk to your friend, and then they did the opposite of what I would think someone rational would do. I mean, okay.
Oh, what he thinks someone rational would do, Keanu, you emotional broad.
You're not rational. You're not rational. You're insane right now. Addiction's a bitch. The people really care about you, man. Me, I couldn't care fucking less. I could not care less. But people, your closest, best friends, the ones that are doing the right thing for you, are calling
Aaron
you
is
out on
still
your
down
bullshit,
bad.
and you're not. You're like, all right, but you have nothing. You know what? Focus on your kids. Leave April alone for now. It might be tough. She might hate you. I'm sure she hates me right now. But when she comes out of this, she'll go.
Let it go, boss.
How I'm feeling.
Every party involved in this is a
Exactly, rolling on the floor laughing.
a fig.
Right. Mugshot. Okay.
There's no good or bad sides in this.
All right. I wrote all those DMs figuring it was highly possible they'd get released.
Oh, see, he's the Joker.
I did it on purpose.
I did it. I sounded like a fucking psychotic, coked up retard on purpose, guys. Nick, that would be my
release. I did that on purpose. That's what I told that terrible joke about Denny's on purpose because I knew that it would be so unfunny. People would say something about me.
Nick, the fact that you thought those would get released and you still wrote them that way, that would be my best kept secret. I would not admit that because you looked like a crazy asshole. And it was around Coke 30 that you told us that you sent those messages.
Right.
So I'm not really worried about what I said. I stand by all the fucking things where I'm like, hey, you say this is your girl, and like you're not giving her a good reason to talk to you.
That's not what you said.
But what do I?
Oh, you douche! I just said. Okay. Here's a part of it that I'm like, AA attending Aaron drinks on his show and tweets pictures of alcohol. Why is he attending AA? I'm like, he's not even in AA. It's a labyrinth of a message, right? Yeah. And I just said, my bottom line is this: I don't think you guys should be talking. That's just my opinion.
I still can't imagine doing coke
AA.
Surrounded by dog poop rolling on the floor laughing.
Which makes sense because it's
that shit's grimy, man. That's so gross.
Or alcoholics. So, just FYI, that's the only way.
That's just how far gone you are at that point. You just don't give a fuck anymore.
I've done everything I can. I have not.
And according to the leaked documents, there are clothes and just shit lying around the whole house, which made it difficult for everyone to walk
press release saying,
through. Yes.
Well, Aaron's just as guilty as me.
There was a drug then.
It's like, it's another threat, basically.
And a 9-year-old
Aaron is just as guilty as me. So
testing positive for cocaine.
He was also involved in all this stuff, if it's true.
And that's his theory going around that he gave it to his own kid because he believes in the medicinal effects of cocaine. I hope that's not true because that would be really dark.
And I'm a piece of shit for doing it. Nick, I'm admitting I'm the bad guy in this story.
Who is the lady host?
And now you're tying your handcuff to me now.
Why she's here.
So don't sit there and go, he's
the
lying.
lady host's name is Keanu, and she is a friend of April and Aaron, I think.
No, he's lying. He's lying.
And
no, I'm not
she
lying.
has been trying to get in contact with April, but Nick doesn't let that happen. And Nick has been in her DMs trying to convince her that Aaron is a piece of shit, which is true, and that they are right and Aaron is wrong. And my theory is that he's trying to get her to enter his cult, a sex cult.
Or he's lying, like I'm gonna go with the, oh yeah, I'm lying.
This shit's rabbit hole goes deep.
None of it happened.
No, I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna go, no, the first thing he said, totally right. Don't take it from me, you guys. Take it from Nick, who just said it. That first one he said, that's the one. Take it from him.
So sorry this is happening. God, sorry every time you get arrested, I've got to...
So let's go to these different well, first, let's go to the reasons. I made a list. This is fun. Because people
these are pretty
going,
relevant, these clips, because they show how Nick's been acting behind the scenes.
Because of the divorce, or he's speaking out because of the arrest, or this, that, and the other thing. Some of it is stuff that's well documented, but other reasons are maybe things I haven't made clear enough during the show, and it's creating some confusion for people. I actually put them in order as to why I started talking about this, because people want to know, why did you go from kind of, dodging and not really talking about it after it was over to just bleh. Here we go.
So we have a PowerPoint?
Metacool's stream on Rekieta was dark.
A list. I love lists. Okay.
The number one reason I started talking about this was obviously the divorce. Like, I couldn't hide that anymore. She wasn't on the show. She clearly wasn't here.
And he just sounded sad in that.
I didn't want to be embarrassing and like, And I
also get that. You think you know someone and they turn out to be a fucking garbage piece of shit.
Will I go into some weird psychological denial?
Alcoholic, drug addict, ball wearing, ball up his ass, child neglecting piece of shit.
Been here for a month.
It was you talk about your life in the news.
Yeah.
You were trying to protect her at first. You weren't sure.
And don't forget, he's also a cop.
But you're a public person, and you talk about your life in the news. So you were being honest about it. Everybody.
And people who dislike me and dislike the show, they get crazy. They scour the records for whether or not there's divorce filings and shit like that. So when the papers, when I signed my part of the papers and I was done with all that, I did go, look, this is going to get out there.
Right.
I'll just tell people. Like,
wait, what was it supposed to be? You're supposed to stop doing your show so no one ever knew that you got divorced?
Right.
Like, that's why people are going, where is April? Now I'm like, where is April? But.
So that was the first one, is like, okay, I have to talk a little bit about this. Maybe not so much the Rekieta part, but like I have to talk about, the fact that April and I's relationship went from, as Keanu says, remarkably good and just amazing to shit. We gotta talk about it, but still skirt around the issues that came out later.
Right.
Number two, and I don't know if I've talked about this publicly. I don't even know if I've said this to Keanu, but I got a text message. I won't say a threatening text message. I got a text message from Kayla that came off as threatening. And it made me upset. It made me feel like I was being handled, like I was being manipulated, I guess you could say.
This is finally starting to realize.
I didn't appreciate it, and I'd have to scroll way the fuck up. Oh, I found it. This is why I came out with more information. This really pissed me off. And I called this out as a threat in text messages, but then I was assured, no, it wasn't a threat.
No.
I'll read it and you tell me.
Okay.
She goes, when the cover with a Q, that's what Kayla called the four of us. Cover with a Q. She had a name for it.
Wait.
Yeah.
The four of you were called the cover?
Yeah, with a Q.
Does it get more culty than that?
Have I not said that publicly?
You never said it to me. I don't think publicly. I haven't seen every moment of your program. Spelled
Q-O-V-E-R. Kayla came up with
this
that.
This shit's so degenerate, man.
She came up with cover.
Okay. Jesus God. Okay.
Q-O-V-E-R.
Go ahead.
We all promised that if it dissolved, we wouldn't go after each other online. Well, you guys also probably would have promised you'll never get arrested. So this next thing, I'll let everyone else decide if this is a threat or not. We all have things to lose. What if it gets back to Ashley, mother of my children, that you enjoyed Molly quite often and had a relationship outside your marriage with someone you brought around the kids? You are not invincible.
And that's all she said. About this.
That well, the rest goes into other things. It's not.
So it's basically like, shut your mouth, or we're gonna tell your ex-wife that you partook in drugs with us. And I mean, that's pretty damn threatening.
Yeah, had a relationship outside your marriage. But first of all, if there's anybody in this world who's going to believe that I had a relationship outside my marriage, it's my first wife.
Right. She's like, oh, yes, story checks out.
Yeah,
Next.
that's, what else? What else
Yeah.
you got? So then that pissed me off something fierce. So I wrote back to her. I go, first of all, I've already told my ex-wife about the things I've done. So that's, fine. And by the way, for those of you who go, Aaron's lying about drugs and this and that. Well, that's a text from Kayla. That you enjoyed Molly quite a few times. As I said, as I admitted. And I said, don't ever, my response to that was, don't ever threaten me with my children again. And she goes, it's not a threat. I'm just reminding you that you have things to lose too.
It's not a threat, it's a reminder.
Yeah.
Love the cover. Suck my dick.
Yeah.
That is a fucking culty thing to do. Just so you know, if you keep talking about this, we may not be able to live our lives as addicts as much as we'd like to, even though you're gone and we don't give a shit. So we're going to say, just a reminder, you have 3 children and an ex-wife. Bitch, I know that. Thank you. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, does that sound like a way you
that.
talk to somebody you quote-unquote love or is your soulmate, quote-unquote?
And then they gaslight you and you go, don't threaten me. They go, no, we love you. This isn't a threat. It's just a reminder. We're looking out for you.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Suck my dick. Ew.
The number 3 reason I came out with a lot of this stuff is I've talked about the NDA, right?
You said that April wanted an NDA.
Yeah, April asked for an NDA. This is before the arrest. So you can't.
The leader of Cover with a Q speaking through April wanted an NDA. Yeah.
Nick wanted an NDA. Now there was never any NDA drawn up. It never came to fruition. Anything. We'll talk about that in a second. But I believe that if that NDA would have been written up, it wouldn't have just been April in it. I believe other people would have been included in that NDA. And my lawyer, number one, I was at the time telling April, I'm like, well, draw it up. Let's see what that looks like, and we'll talk about it. I called my lawyer. He goes, abso-fucking-lutely not. He said, first of all, she's been a co-host on your show for years. She's a public figure. There's no NDA.
That's where it gets sticky. She's a public person, too.
Right.
Everyone in this scenario of this weird thing, you're all public people. So, it's like...
Do we name...
If it were just for April, fine, I guess, but...
So, you don't like that they called it a cover?
No, I don't. I don't like anything spelled with a Q.
You don't think that you think that might be a little culty?
Do I think it?
Yeah.
No, I know it. Convince me otherwise. QAnon, some weird Q, question mark. Was there a question? I just wrote it down. I literally just wrote it down. Was there a weird upside down question mark at the end? Why come up? Like, we're just having fun, being adults with the kids out of the house. Oh, wait, they weren't out of the house. But also, we need a really creepy name for what we're doing, spelled with a Q. What? Oh, Jesus, God.
So that threat and then the NDA threat, when I talked to different people, they said, well, before there's any NDA, give them a reason to not have an NDA. Go ahead, let it all out. If it's all out, they're going to drop the NDA thing pretty fucking quick because it's all out there. And even then I didn't. That was around the same time Nick had his pass out stream. Nick's pass out stream was way more the reason I talked about drugs and everything else. Because I'm like, well, the cat's out of the bag. Everyone knows this motherfucker's got a problem. He showed up with powder on his nose. So
his friends are talking about it. I mean, it's very clear what's happening here. So
the game is up. And then number 4 was the arrest. That was kind of the final straw where I'm like, because you got to think, these 3 things came before it. And each time one of these 3 things happened, you got to look at it from my perspective. You go, oh, now there's more fucking shit out there in the world. Blah, blah, wonder what's coming next. Then the arrest happens, and I go, okay, I'm going to share it all because I don't know what the fucking next thing's going to be. Is somebody going to turn up dead? You know, is it?
That's my main. That was my main concern. That shit can, especially these days with blow and stuff. I mean, you never fucking know. So, ooh.
Elza Belza in the Rumble chat writes, Kayla is Q, confirmed.
Maybe.
So
that blows my mind.
I've never talked about the blackmail threat.
The creepy name for the
cover. Okay, the cover I've never said.
Cover.
I didn't know that, you know, that we've never mentioned the cover.
Mind.
And by the way,
somebody said Qanu, which is
Qanu. I love that she goes, oh, we all agreed when we started fucking each other that we wouldn't talk about it if it went bad. Yeah, because those pledges always work out.
Right. You mean when when they sat you down in the bathroom like a child and said, you're getting too close to April. I mean, Kayla.
Yeah.
Quayla. Whatever. Quayla. Jesus God.
You got to spell Kayla with a Q now, right?
You must.
And Nick Rekietas with a Q
Nick
as well.
with a Q-U
Nick
at
with
the
a
end.
Q. Rekietas with a Q. April's free from the Q puns, I guess. So the arrest was the fourth one, and I'm like, okay, now we got to come out with all of it, because what the fuck are these people going to get themselves into now?
Right.
So those were the four reasons, and then there's a fifth reason. And, you know, people online, you know, have said, you're a rat, you're chicken shit, you know, you and Keanu are this and that. I can't speak for Keanu. Keanu. But rat and chicken shit, all right, maybe these are true. But they also have nothing to do with the facts of the things I'm talking about. I am making fun of Nick and teasing Nick and humiliating Nick over and over, repeatedly and repeatedly, day after day, week after week, for one very simple reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really enjoying it.
And that's, you know what?
It's a lot of fun. So to those of you who are getting emotionally worked up at me, leave us alone. We're having fun.
You have to realize, too, you've been through some trauma I don't think you've even unpacked yet.
Right.
Like,
you know,
and it's still not over. I think more weird shit, like, I can't even believe that text you just read. It's insane to me. And, like, you're like, I never read that before? Ugh. That's insane. So it's good that you're enjoying it and that you got out of it. And I still think the trauma of, like, worrying about April, like we all are, right? Even though she's your ex-wife, it's easier for you to be, because you're going through a breakup. It's
stealing and defiling his wife.
Callous about it.
Well, and the way you got to remember, I'm the one who tried.
She's been reduced to a coke whore. That's just sad.
Like, the way I got treated, I'm a little calloused. Yeah, like
of course, yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's just so.
She's still with him apparently. Wait, I think that someone posted a clip of this morning's stream. It's this one.
I didn't write the fan mail down. Can you go ask? I have a. Oh wait, I hid it somewhere in here. Don't worry about it for now. I have a fucking complaint. An ethics complaint, and I don't remember where I fucking put it. Wait, here it is. Here it is.
Doesn't really sound like Kayla. So there's a theory going around that it's April. But the thing is, that's not the only piece of evidence. Pick up list of clips. Because there's a clip of Aaron talking about how his paycheck for his insurance went to where Nick is living at. Was addressed to his wife. Friends, let's see where it is. It's been a few days since that one was posted. Let's see. God damn it, there's so many clips. I'll let this play.
Acting completely how some outsider would react, but
yeah,
good. If you you know what, I am all for making fun of Nick Nique Rekieta.
But as I've said before on the show, like when I'm making jokes and stuff, I'm coping and performing with the material I've given myself and that I've been given. In my private life, yes, I deal with this more seriously.
Right, exactly.
The show is a
Again,
break.
you're a public person. Are you supposed to sit here and cry?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think.
I save that for the Alex Stein show.
This is a no U-turn zone, right? I mean,
but like, Slam Piece says this. Like when you say like, you're like, I don't think you're done dealing with this, like trauma-wise and everything. Slam Piece always says, she goes, one day you're going to fully kind of grasp onto how fucking worked over you were by this Kayla.
That's what all of them. I think you'll really see. I think it's a coping thing to be like, well, at first it was, well, I loved her and she loved me. Then I think you're starting to realize that wasn't the case. You'll really see when you look at it, and maybe it might be years down the line. Oh my God. Yeah, completely worked over.
Yeah, because
and I don't know that for a fact, but that's what it seems like.
When the ex-wife threat didn't work, she did go back to niceties and whatever. So you wonder. Or a friendly comic fan with $5 says, thoughts on EVS, that's Ethan Van Sciver, I think. I was not familiar with him until he called me one Friday night at like 11:50 at night. This was after I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize that said Rekieta N on it. This was the day he got out of jail. I guess they were trying to call me. One of them said Ethan Van Sciver. The other one had Nick's number on it. So I think there was, in my opinion, there was probably drinking and drugs and the decision to call me late at night. And this is before I had talked about the cover and all that stuff. I think they were probably trying to get me to shut the fuck up. But, you know, no offense, guys. You've been threatening.
I can find it.
Not only have you been threatening, but
later.
You've been humiliating not only yourselves, but me for the last week. Sorry. No, I'm not on your team. But he says, thoughts on EVS saying the 16-year-old should have stepped up and taken care of the kids and cleaned the home so you guys could keep partying. Let me say this about Ethan Van Sciver. And there's a lot of people in our chat who are this way, and I almost don't blame them because really I don't know them well enough. There are people who feel like they owe Nick Rekieta. And let me tell you something about Nick Rekieta. He keeps score. Nick told me on many different occasions how fucking hurt and offended and upset he was that certain people that he had raised lots of money for criticize him now. That people he always measured things in money. He always measured things in what he'd done for people. And it was always money and followers. I'd gotten them this many followers. I'd gotten them this much money. And now they're criticizing me. Well, it goes that Rocky 3 line, friends don't owe, they do because they want to do. If you tell me that you're raising a bunch of money for me so that I'll be in your debt forever, then I'm going to ask you to not raise money for me. If you're going to get me a shitload of followers because then I'll never be able to criticize you if you do something wrong, then I'm not going to accept your help. I don't want conditional help, and the condition is my eternal servitude. But he would always talk about people that way. And then, obviously, I think I was supposed to fall in that line. Well, the problem is I never gained any followers from being a friend. I never made any money from being we were just friends. We hung out. We barely ever talked about streaming shit. We were pals. I mean, it's a terrible way to start a friendship, but we were friends. And, you know, the way he would talk about like how he made money for people and how he made followers for people and how that somehow should translate into this blind loyalty, I think is kind of a sick way to live. And he also always said, and he said this publicly, he feels like he has to buy his friends. You know, he has to buy them things or treat them to things and things like that. And that's, you know, maybe that's what the alcohol and the drugs is masking partially, because that does sound like a sad way to live. So as far as Ethan Van Sciver saying the 16-year-old should have stepped up and taken care of the kids and cleaned the home so we could keep partying, that's Ethan Van Sciver selling his soul to Nick Rekieta and feeling like he has to defend him.
Is that what someone said? For real?
That's what Ethan Van Sciver said. Yeah, I've heard that clip. From
Ethan Van Sciver is also a piece of shit fact. He's been taking Nick's side, blaming the kids for everything, just doing whatever to sweep for him. And after that positive drug test was leaked, he completely flipped sides. Yeah, it's this. And now he's against Rekieta.
The news that's going on right now is not good.
Such a piece of shit, man.
A little document that was released to the public for some reason. A little document that made it out onto the interwebs.
All that Rekieta has left are Dick Masterson and Ethan Ralph. Might as well just surrender if you have that. If you have that as your camp.
You guys see this? That basically was about Nick Rekieta, our dear friend Nick Rekieta, who I have denounced, by the way. I saw you calling me Nick's best friend. I'm here to renounce and denounce.
No, do not
Nick
denounce
Rekieta.
because you were right the whole time.
Too
dude.
late. I'm here to denounce him. I mean, this is just ridiculous. I've told that guy so many times, and I tell everybody in my audience, just say no.
Cat orange whistling.
Just say no.
Cat
And if
orange
some
whistling.
savvy
Cat orange
9-year-old
whistling.
comes up to you
Is this
slinging
the weird
cocaine,
lawyer?
what's it called?
Cocaina, yayo, booger sugar.
You're supposed.
Everyone involved in LawTube is fucking weirdo. This is the one weirdo LawTuber who has been taking Rekieta's side this whole time, and he flipped sides. I think after that reveal.
Snow White. No, I don't care. I don't care.
Welcome to Mazigi. Welcome to stream. Going over some Nick Rekieta stuff.
You say no,
thank you for swinging by.
Drugs. Yeah, Nick's been very kind to me, so I don't have any reason to viciously turn on him and put a knife in his back. I think that I've experienced that quite a bit from people that I've been kind to, and they've just, when it was convenient, put a knife in my back. I'm not anxious to do that to anyone myself, but as more of these allegations come out, it is kind of sad, and you know, it's outside of my or your control what ends up happening to Nick, and whatever happens to him via the justice
the weird
system,
guy with two names.
I'm going to nod my head.
Folded hands, folded hands.
A lot of people are like, oh, you know, Nick
Ziggy.
Rekieta is Ethan's friend. These people, you know, the other day, like somebody goes, Ethan is the biggest broom holding up house for Rekieta. What the hell? Like me? I never even got to party with the guy.
The very same guy saying this right now is the very same one who said that the 16-year-old kid should have taken care of the other ones while Nick and Caleb were enjoying their drug-filled lifestyles. And now, after that drug test leak of the 9-year-old testing positive, he flipped sides. Everyone in LawTube is a fucking scumbag, man.
All my friends got to actually party with him. I'm just kind of like, my thing is just like, you know, he's always been nice to me. I'm not going to stick a knife in his back like that. Like, that's not, I'm not going to immediately stick a knife in this guy's back, no matter what he's up to, unless he's up to something real bad. But I'm not going to stick a knife in his back. He's been kind to me. I wish him well.
This shit's grimy.
And that's it. That's the entire internet is perfectly willing to do that, and then I get called the broom that's sweeping up house for Rekieta and holding it up. Like, what the hell, man? So I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that I was the only pillar that was still keeping his whole legacy alive. I had no idea. Did you guys know that? I mean, were you guys aware that it's me doing this? Like everything depends on me? Why didn't you say something to me? Yeah, I didn't know. I would have worked. I would have been, I don't know, I would have done something differently. I would have moved differently had I known that. Hirashi Mataru says, drug tests using hair are a sham, not trustworthy. Yeah, I don't know anything about it. Like, people go, what do you think of it? And my responsible answer is, I don't fucking know. I don't know. You know?
Drug tests using hair follicle test, is 99% accurate. So, accuracy of 99%. There's a 1% chance that it's a false positive, which, take that as we will. It's especially effective for cocaine tests. And that, if you take cocaine or any other drugs, ecstasy or 2CB, whatever, it stays in your hair for 3 months. It stays only in your piss for 2 days. That's just how scarily accurate it is. And this is just bullshit.
Oh, who knows? My guess about this situation,
acting like he doesn't know.
Based on absolutely nothing, and I don't know, because I mean the numbers, they go, it's 5,000 over 500. I'm like, holy shit, that seems like a lot of cocaine, but I don't know what it is. So
10 times the amount, the acceptable amount.
Residue was left maybe on the counter or something like that, and the kid interacted with it in some way. Probably not the kid snorting drugs. But again, what do I know? I don't know that for fact. I mean, we're gonna, I just assume the world that I live in doesn't really contain 9-year-olds that use cocaine, but that's the world that I live in. And
well, one of the other guys who turned against Rekietas said something very interesting. Let me get the link. It's Camelot331, who is also a faggot, but he was in close contact with Nick. And he had something very interesting to say.
And people claiming,
according to him, Nick really believes in the medicinal effects of cocaine. And there's this theory going around that he gave cocaine to his kid. His 9-year-old kid who suffers from, I think, autism and night terrors and that stuff. But yeah, listen to this.
I mean that I'm doing this because it's like, what if you think it has medicinal properties that could be used to help your child? Because that's what you believe. That doesn't seem crazy out of the spectrum for me, right? Nick talks a lot about the medicinal properties of cocaine, right? The medicinal properties of cocaine. And how it helps anxiety.
Still defending the
stress,
Rekietas.
It helps narcolepsy. So,
if they want to die on that hill, then so be it.
What if you believe something's got medicinal value, and your one of your children is suffering through, I don't know, ailments, night terrors, something like that? What if you think it has medicinal properties that could be used to help your child? Because that's what you believe. That doesn't seem crazy out of the spectrum for me, right? And I'm talking about in the situation, not personally, obviously. I don't know nothing about cocaine. I know it's white. That's pretty much all I know. So, I don't know. That, Achilles Jones. No. That is crazy. Yeah, sure. Then you get him help from a doctor. You don't give him coke. Yeah, sure. The issue is if you truly believe there's a benefit, and it seems like a lot of work to schedule a doctor's visit and drive a place and wait to a scheduled date when you could just do a thing that takes 1 second. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, when my sister and my brother was heavily impaired through narcotics, they didn't make the best choices, man. So you gotta you gotta don't look at it from your own perspective, like your normal ass sober perspective. Look at it from a perspective of somebody that's fucking impaired. I don't know. Look, I'm just throwing ideas out there. August Stevenson says the hair test covers a 90-day period, and the report doesn't state the context of exposure. Okay. So what are so
the shit is inside, was found, it was inside her hair, not on it, not anything. And for it to be discovered inside of your hair, you'd have to take it. So it was consumed. It's only the only question is how. Did Nick give it to her, or did she? I'm assuming it's a she. Or did she found a bullet somewhere lying around and consume it and get into it? That's the only question here.
Why are the other children,
at least for me,
don't have even a amount that's able to be read on a test? Right? Unless we're saying that maybe this is a plausible scenario. Maybe, this kid has night terrors. Maybe this kid sleeps in the same bed most nights. Something I think is important. And this is just being frank. And another reason why I'm like, you can't really defend this is all could have been avoided if there's not children around cocaine, right? It's like, so, I mean, there's a lot of things you can say to attempt to defend the situation. But the first things first, you can defend dying after you jumped out of a plane, but you can't defend jumping out of the plane. You know what I'm saying? You can justify every reason, but you can't defend jumping out of the plane, which led to this. And that's kind of like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, man, like, why did this happen? Like, this didn't have to happen, right? There comes a time when so many things like dominoes are lining up. There comes a time, and this is what I was talking about earlier when I first started the show. And, I'm not really condemning nor denying, but you can only give the benefit of the doubt so much when you've been doing it all along. And it's like, okay, now that's the 9th thing that's come out that's fucking brutal. You know what I'm saying? It's the 9th thing in a row that's fucking horrific that's come out. Like, you start to sound like a dumbass, man. Like when you're like, oh, and it's not an overt, condemning. It's just like, damn. You know what I'm saying? It's a sticky situation. And it's going to be a weird thing to navigate for viewers, because viewers and people that are involved, like as far as watching the story play out, it's a black and white tribal thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're either on like fuck Nick side, or you're on, I will defend Nick until I freaking die. And there's no nuance when you're a viewer. Well, that's what I've noticed as far as, this has happened. There's so many different parasocial tribal things like when it comes to EVS, Eric July, Riley, all these situations, and when you know somebody in real life, it's more nuanced. And I can't, it's hard to overtly defend and hard to overtly condemn, but it's also hard to overtly defend knowing so much that no one in the chat knows. You know what I'm saying? Like, knowing some of the things that I know that I've never talked about and probably won't, it's hard to overtly defend because you just know some shit that lines up perfectly with all this, and you're like, "Fuck, this sucks." You know what I'm saying? So the nose guarding stuff equals defending Nick. Yeah. My first stream I did about it, I didn't defend him, and then like I was kind of on the fence the next couple of streams, depending on what information was available at the time and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, you can't defend this shit. You know. Yeah, obviously, I pray that somehow it's a false positive, and somehow it got fucked up, right? But you just can't really defend it. You know?
And I don't know about the rest of the world. And then on the other hand, at the same time, I should say, if it is true that the kid tested positive for cocaine in any way, even if it was just like incidentally the cocaine, my attitude about it is like, Nick, the fuck? Like, your kid should never come into contact. Like, the fact that you were irresponsible enough with the cocaine, if you were, like, if that's what happened here and if this report is correct, that a kid tested positive, one of your children tested positive for it, is indefensible, I think is the word to use there. I'm not going to defend that. Whatever the truth of that situation is, if it turns out to be as bad as a lot of these people are hoping it is, a lot of people are really hoping it's awful. But if it does turn out to be that way, then yeah, I'm just, my thing is, Nick's going to face justice for it in some way, and that's going to be justified, I think. But again, what do I know? I don't know. Neither do you guys. And so the answer with Nick Rekieta and this legal case, with all of the drama and all of the excitement and revelations and the scandal about it and everything, I'm listening. I'm listening to it. I'm reading it. I'm paying attention. But what's true and what isn't true, and what does this mean and what does that mean compared to other things? Yeah, the answer is always like, I don't know. Do you know? Maybe you guys know. My thing is, again, like, I really value loyalty. I truly value loyalty. People who have been loyal to me and have been friendly to me will have my loyalty. Doesn't mean I won't make fun of them. I will, but with love. I don't want to turn my back or, knife anyone in the back. And if it turns out that somebody who I'm friendly with is guilty of a crime, I mean, I'm not going to take pleasure in watching them go down. It's like, I'll watch it and I'll shake my head sadly. Urashima Taru says, hair tests do false positives with no drug contact. Yeah, I guess so. Even still, like, I'd be surprised if that's what this is, because, there is, it's not like it tested positive for something that wasn't already in the house. That the substance was in the house. So it tested positive probably for a reason. These are my guesses, but I don't know.
Yeah, no shit.
Okay. Probably tested positive for a reason, and at some point, this child most likely came into contact with the drug accidentally. Maybe it was, they were sloppy about, I don't know. I'm not sure, but it does seem like more likely that it was a genuine positive, but something else is a little wacky about it. We'll see. That's bizarre to me. Moral grandstanding is the demise of a former friend's family.
Well, that's that. Nick recently came back to streaming. I went ahead to clip those important segments. Let them play then.
Ugly Dan says, can you say yayo? I've been a fan since like 2021. Get it together, Nick. My karma went to shit on Reddit defending you. Let me address this real quick. This is actually really fucking important. Some people have said to me like, hey, it's hard to defend you or this and this, defending you. Stop. I never asked anybody to defend me, ever. This goes all the way back to the Vic days when people are like, Nick, I defended you online, and then people started coming after me. I'm like, please don't. Please don't. You guys have read the allegations against me, I assume. You don't need to defend me. Those allegations exist from the government. They've been made. People are not going to accept your defense of me, and they don't have to. Please don't defend me. Do you even see me defending myself? No, I'm defending myself in court. Because again, the shocking number of people asking me to come online and defend my public image must have missed the fucking bus. And it must be a short one, I guess, because you should know that my public image is just who I am. And you should know that there's no fucking way on earth I'm going to capitulate to a government accusation. The government has a burden. They have to meet it. Until they meet it, fuck it. Meet your burden. Then we'll talk. If they do, then we'll deal with that. But right now, they haven't even had to try. So until that's done, I'm not going to sit here and capitulate to anything. But the converse is, that means I don't get to defend myself. Okay. You shouldn't either. Don't put yourself out there on my behalf. I've never asked anybody to do that. I wouldn't ask you to do that. So I know your karma score on Reddit isn't important. Well, maybe it is really important. But seriously, when you get involved with some of this stuff, with some of the people who are out there, especially some of the people who are out there commenting about me, you open yourself up to personal inspection, ridicule, and possibly more. Don't do that.
Very true.
It's not your cross to bear. I don't want your help defending me in that way at all.
It's been a blast finding out just what kind of retards and degenerates you've been fucking with since now.
If there's something that I need help with, it'll be something that I'm looking for to be given to my lawyer to use in court. And I would ask that very specifically. I'm not asking for anything like that right now. Because right now, it's all on government to prove anything. Right now, I stand accused. Until a different outcome occurs, I do not stand convicted. And I hope to never stand convicted of anything. Well, except for maybe a few thousand speeding tickets.
Very funny. Another clip of him saying that he's not going to talk about this court case, but then he tells us pretty much everything.
I have counsel in this case. People thought I would represent myself because I guess they're retarded. I have counsel in this case. He seems like a good dude, a competent dude, and we will be going through this and doing what needs to be done. I see a lot of speculation on the internet, and I can see basically all of it has many of the major details wrong. And that's fine. Most of the details aren't for anybody. And that covers a whole lot more than the criminal case, just my life. My life story is becoming marvelously interesting, even though it's painful and really fucking annoying a lot of the time. But government will be dealt with as, I guess, time permits, allows. I'm not even sure how to say it. As the time becomes appropriate, government will be dealt with in course. These charges will be dealt with in course. I know what many of you are saying about these types of charges and the allegations against me. And you know what? Say what you will. Watch. You get to watch it live. You get to see what it does with me, to me. You get to see the outcome. as it happens. It's pretty fucking rare. Should be a good show for you guys. For me, it'll be one of the most stressful and horrifying times of my entire life. As I've always said, being under indictment by the government is one of the worst positions people can be in. But I'll deal with it. Because unlike groveling, sniveling commentators online who've never had to deal with any actual adversity in their lives, that's what you do. That's not what a man does. That's not what a woman does. It's not about masculinity or femininity.
You
or
chose to
That's
broke
about
the law.
What people have to do.
Live
There
with
are
the
times in your life
consequences.
where you are faced with something that you never could have imagined, that you never could predict, that you will not be prepared for. And again, I feel like a broken ass record because I've said all of this in the context of other people. When you are under the thumb of government, you are not prepared for it. No matter what you think you are not prepared for it. They will go after you in ways that you do not expect. They will come at you with information and you won't know if it's true. And you won't be able to adequately challenge it right away. There's a process. And that process in and of itself is designed to grind you into dirt. It's designed to make you capitulate to government. Because they'll say, we have this and this and this. And you'll say, fuck you, show me. And when you do, take a moment. When you do take a moment and you work with government, and you can find this in the recently leaked documents, and you cooperate by, say, asking them to come into your home, they will lie under oath to the judge. That's right, Alicia Sweep. They will lie under oath to the judge. They will fabricate a situation that did not occur. They will lie about your willingness to cooperate. They will lie about things that you said. They will generate statements said by other people out of nothing because I was there and that wasn't said. They will violate the rules of evidence. They will violate the rules of civil procedure. They will violate the rules of juvenile procedure. And disinterested judges and very fucking terrible attorneys will let it all go. Because everyone grovels at the feet of government. But I don't. If you're ever in a situation like mine, and I pray that you're not, do not allow anyone to convince you that you should grovel before government or just accept an outcome. Don't do it. Government's system of punishment is designed to fuck you. And it does it mercilessly, relentlessly, unapologetically, and it doesn't even call you good girl and spit in your mouth. It just does it. And when you're tired and bleeding on the bed, it does it again and again and again. You can't.
This is so creepy.
Until you're sore enough. And that's what they want you to do.
What the hell is wrong with him?
Don't. Fight for your rights. You have them. They exist for a reason, including your right to free speech. And I will sit here and I will fight for every one of those commentators' rights to be a giant coward in the face of someone else's plight. And it's amazing to watch these people that I thought were courageous quiver in fear, performatively, just to beg you for one more $20 donation, please. It's embarrassing.
Cocaine and alcohol.
Like, this shit's just creepy.
With that, as stated, I will not be talking about my case.
Here's another clip. He just goes off insulting everyone and everything who has been covering his case.
Release of information that's supposed to be protected at a very specific time, right after I announce a show and right before the show starts, is something that is concerning. And of course, I will have a lawyer looking into that right away. I know people want to draw conclusions from whatever's going on.
It's creepy because of the filter eyes.
There's no way around it. There's nothing to say other than...
What the hell do you mean? Those are
people
adorable.
Will get to draw their conclusions from what they read.
Isn't he cute this way? I prefer him this way over how he actually looks.
Or justify or prove anything. I don't need to do that for you. Believe it or not, a lot of really well-meaning friends want me to do that. And these people are lawyers, which is shocking. They want me. I'll say it this way. They say, Nick, you need to do X, Y, and Z because of your YouTube channel and your online image. And my response is, sir, madam, I don't know if you know this, but the lowest priority in my life right now is my public image for the purposes of YouTube and Rumble. So any of you who want me to come out here and like do some weird grandiose apology or...
This is not about his public image for the purposes of YouTube and Rumble, because the shit he's saying here can be and will be used against him in a court of law. The same way his recent streams being used to do that wellness check on his house. This shit can fuck him over.
Prostrate myself in front of you. Let me just.
And he's being just the most
right now. Fuck
a giant prick.
Your goddamn mouth. I'm not here to worry about what you think about me, and that should be obvious to damn near anybody. And if you think it's in my character to come out and grovel before you and say, oh, I'm so sorry I let you down.
You really should try to mend some of his relationships.
I didn't pick you up. I didn't make you, and I didn't make promises to you. So if you feel let down
because
by
the
me,
relationships that he has left with people like Dick Masters and who is a fucking degenerate, Ethan Ralph who just fled to Mexico, he won't be able to do anything, or that Star Wars girl who literally eats dirt. You don't want those people as your allies.
You shouldn't respect
you need actual allies.
Anybody who comes out like a little fucking bitch and says, I really am worried about my public image, not my family, not my liberty, not holding government accountable, none of that. But my public image, my public image? Well, you're probably a fat Canadian. Or maybe a skinny Canadian who can't fly to the right city. Or maybe you're a doughy Minnesotan. I don't know who you are. But I'm not here to apologize to you or for anything. I am under the thumb of government at the moment, which means government gets to say whatever they want about me, and I don't get to respond. That's a shit place to be. We've talked about it a lot on this show. What's funny is a lot of my colleagues have talked a lot about it too, but the moment it happens, they all tuck their nuts up into their own assholes and become the biggest pack of fucking gabbling women I've ever seen. Running around, come out, apologize, bow down, bow, beg, tell everybody that you're sorry. For what? What am I sorry for? They don't know what I'm supposed to be sorry for. I don't know what I'm supposed to be sorry for. What I know is that government has accused me of some criminal acts. Those criminal acts have impacted me and my family. accusation from government is not a conviction. It may convict you in the eyes of people, and that's fine. If I'm convicted in your eyes, good. Go find someone else. You're now validated. I bid you adieu. I'm sorry I let you down by never promising anything and doing something that you didn't approve of, maybe. Except that thing that I'm supposed to have done still remains to be seen. But I will say this. I will be holding government to...
The dude was caught with 26 grams, I think, grams of cocaine in his house, ketamine pills, firearms, ammunition, neglected children, and now a child that tests positive for cocaine. And he's saying this shit like, it's over, man.
To its full accountability, to the extent of my rights. And anybody who thinks I shouldn't do that, okay. I don't know what law channels you're watching. Probably a cockeyed Koreans or something. Someone who doesn't understand the value of innocence until proven guilt. Someone who doesn't understand the value of constitutional rights. Or maybe people who just like to talk really big about not listening to government until the government comes knocking. Then suddenly, they're fucking pussies. Running around in the truest definitions of a 90s crying, prostrating themselves, begging for the leather to put their tongue on. Like it's a big chocolate starfish of their local police chief or whatever. Sorry. You will never, ever find
disgusting.
that attitude from me or my channel. And you will never have me apologize to you for anything in my life other than being late to streams and being generally
You chose to broke the law. Live with the consequences.
Because I'm guilty of that. But anybody out there speculating
Yeah, I sense that.
about whether
Just
or not a
in
government
case.
document is accurate, well, I'll let you determine if government is accurate or not. It's not up to me. It's up to the government to prove they're accurate. As for me, I have a lot to say about what is on documents that have been released.
And you really
Paper
should
copies of
just shut the
documents
fuck
released
up.
before they're available to the public. That's a little strange.
Everyone
Case
tells
files that
me
are
that.
protected being accessed by members of the public. That's a little strange.
There
Timing
has
of
to be
certain
a
drops
combative,
coming out,
contrary
that's
piece of shit prick.
The thinness of a search warrant's probable cause statement, very strange. But it's not for me to fight these things on YouTube. And anybody who suggests that I should, or that I have some duty to explain to you my legal strategy, my legal avenues for doing this, or that anything I say or don't say is somehow either an admission or an omission of some duty I owe to the general public. Anyone who's saying that, anyone who is saying that is a lying grifter in the truest, not funny sense of the word. And I have zero respect for anyone like that, especially if they call themselves a lawyer. Anyone who calls themselves a lawyer and immediately demands me
You
to run
chose
out
to broke the
and
law.
bend over before government.
Live with the consequences.
Not only shouldn't be a lawyer, they shouldn't be an American, and they shouldn't be a lot of other things. Because last I checked, we don't do that round here. I've long talked about the transparency of courts and what they're for. It's amazingly ironic to me that people hear me talk about that. They'll agree with me. The transparency of courts was always to hold government accountable, by the way, not your fellow man. It was always to hold government accountable. It was because prior to the United States, the legal system was that of the King of England. And he had the Star Chamber. He was the court. He was the enforcement arm of law judgment arm of law, and those courts were held in private. People's charges were private. The details about them were private. The public wasn't allowed to analyze them. I've talked about how, even though it can be embarrassing, our country was founded on the principle of distrust of its authority, distrust of its government, a healthy, necessary evil of putting a few people in charge of many, but holding them accountable and adhering to freedom. And the amount of fucking pussies out there now who consistently lose that principle and say, no, actually, government must be correct at all times, baffles me. Baffles me more when they work with the government in the system and still think that way. I will not. I never will. You'll never get that from me on this channel. I will not be coming out here crying to you about something that didn't ever involve anyone here. You watch this show because for some reason it entertains you. I often fucking wonder what it is. Because I couldn't watch my show. I would find it terrible. And maybe you do, and maybe that's what you like. That's cool. Maybe you find it wildly enjoyable. That's great. I'm glad. I come out here to entertain you. Now, this stream is not about entertainment, although many of you will probably be entertained by it, and that's good. This stream is one of the few real serious streams that I have to do. Because I will be back full-time streaming. And this was going to be the announcement for that. A little bit of recognition of the differences in the studio that I have. Well, not different, it's the same studio, but different decorations and arrangements of things. And there's still some stuff to be done on it.
And we've come to our last clip. He did a stream this morning. Well, for me, it was this morning. And there's a very interesting segment talking about that he did take the drug test, that he did submit them to the government, and that they're all clean. And that the government made an honest mistake in saying that he did not submit them, which is full of shit.
To address the elephant in the stream. There's an ongoing criminal case with me, as has been released in some ways. There's another ongoing matter that runs parallel to that. It involves my family, and people are very, very eager and keen to have a bunch of details about my children, which, you know, I guess if that's what they want to do, that's
I'll put up an image of one of the pages of the lead document, which is very interesting.
Who wants this thing done and taken care of and expects me to have this thing worked out in some sort of quick fashion, welcome to the legal process and the speed of government. It is not in the hands of us happy, idle citizens. It is in the hands of bureaucrats who actually have never passed up a cheese sandwich and never will. They take their time on everything and blame you for it. They do. I don't know how.
I think I put up the wrong one. God damn it.
At some point, encounter government in some way, and I pray to God it's not in the way that I've had to. People are saying that I'm making statements like this as some sort of conspiracy, sort of accusation, or saying that there is some sort of plot against me or whatever. I mean, I have no fucking idea. I haven't ever claimed that. Other people have suggested shit like that. Go talk to them about those theories. As for me and my claims, they're very, very simple.
Alright, before he gets further into this, let's just check what's written in here. Okay. B. Or I think it's D. After being placed out of the house, the children were subject to hair follicle drug testing. All of the children, except for redacted, tested negative. redacted tested positive for cocaine at a level of over 5,000 with a cutoff of 500. I think 5,000 milligrams. I don't know that much. I have to look that up later. Mr. and Mrs. Rekieta each submitted to a hair follicle drug test through Minnesota Monitoring. Jesus. Incorporated. On May 30, 2024, however, KCHHS has not received the results of those tests because subsequent to taking those tests, Mr. Rekieta and Mrs. Rekieta revoked their releases of information from the MME to KCHHS. Because the releases of information has been revoked, KCHHS has been unable to monitor the parents through additional drug testing. So they did take the drug test, but they revoked their releases of information, which means the results were not sent to the government, which is very interesting if you listen to what he's about to say in this clip.
I have constitutional rights. I stand accused by my government of acts to which I have not admitted. The government bears the burden of proving those acts beyond a reasonable doubt in the criminal matter and a slightly lower but still high standard in the ongoing civil matter. Until they do those things, people will make up the decisions about me and any actions alleged or unalleged that they want under the circumstances. There's nothing I can do to prevent it. There's very little I can even do to address it. I started to say this the other night, but I will say it again because it bears repeating. The government has the unfettered ability to accuse the citizen. The citizen does not have an unfettered ability to respond to government. Though we have freedom of speech, everything we say that we are free to say can be used against you once you stand accused. Actually, technically before you stand accused, but certainly once you do. And with that realization, it means that anything the government says about you may have to go unanswered for an extended period of time. But there are answers that I can give to questions that people have that are very generic about my case. And so I can clear up some common misconceptions here, right now. Anyone who suggests that I ever have refused an ordered drug test from the government is incorrect. I've complied with every ordered drug test from the government. And yes, that means I have actually taken drug tests and submitted them to the government. I know it's wild to consider, but that has happened. So any reports that I'm not doing that are flat out false. I don't care what insider sources people have. I don't care what other suggestions there are, but any suggestion that I am not doing that, like I'm adamantly refusing a court-ordered drug test, are completely incorrect. Shockingly, they're all clean. I know it's really hard to believe, but they're all clean. I don't know what to...
Yeah. He did take the drug test, but he did not submit or he revoked his releases of information, him and Mrs. Rekieta. So that part is true. He did take the drug test, but then being clean is a flat out lie. But no one can officially disprove that lie. So he's very comfortable in saying that.
To tell you, I don't know how to say it any other
Just being
way,
very sneaky, sleazy, grimy, and slimy with his wording.
my case, and that is that they cannot show any evidence of drug use. And you'll find it absent in any of the documents. That's on the government. If they decide they need to show that, then they will attempt to show it. You guys know what I stand accused of. You guys can go look it up. If you do not know, I'm not going to rehash it here. So far, I am not guilty. If the government decides that they can prove that beyond a reasonable doubt, that remains to be seen. but there's a long way to go in that process. The status of my case is very simply as follows. The next criminal hearing that I have is on August 21st. This is public information. It's pretty easy to find. That August 21st hearing is called a contested omnibus, and that is a Rule 11 hearing in Minnesota, which means it is your chance to bring any dispositive pretrial motions. Dispositive pretrial motions means the resolution of the motion could resolve the entire case. That would be dispositive, right? So if you have a motion to dismiss, for example, and you win the motion to dismiss, the case would be over. That would be a dispositive motion. That's the limit for them, outside of very, very limited other circumstances. That will be on August 21st. Most people's questions about my criminal case, questions that they have for me, what are you going to do about this? What about this? What about this? Those things will be addressed largely at that hearing. That's what it's for. We will be filing paperwork ahead of that hearing if there's anything that needs to be addressed. And if it is not resolved at that hearing, it will go on to be calendared for trial. When will that be? I have no idea. That's on the court, in the court's calendar. How long of a trial the state thinks, how long the state thinks the trial will take, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We are many steps from that spot. People want that spot to be done. They want it to be occupied. They want some sort of ownership or explanation or whatever, and you're just never going to get it prior to that, because I cannot talk about that stuff in my own interest and in the interest of my children, my family, everything. This all has to be done properly. So to all of you who have those wonderful, very concerned questions, I have to tell you, you'll just have to wait and watch the show unfold. Like I said, there are general things that I can talk to you about, sure. Simple matters of fact. And there are actually simple matters of misrepresented facts in the documents that you guys have read. Some of those I can certainly address. I just did in regards to any drug testing, etc., etc. Any suggestion that I refused a drug test is erroneous. I was not required to take any drug test by the government up until a certain point.
And that certain point is documented here. He did comply with that drug test.
That was ordered, which I believe was on June 7th. I've complied with all of them. The government had no right to ask me or demand me or order me to take a drug test prior to that. And I did not refuse to take anything that they...
Oh, my bad. My bad, it's not.
That being said,
my mistake.
I hope that clears that up. I know it won't. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, wow, in the order it said this. Well, that's funny. And it's a funny aspect of how cases work. Because you see, one side, again, the government gets to say whatever it wants. The other side has maybe an opportunity to respond.
You chose to break the law. Live with the consequences.
However, that response might require testimony, and that testimony might be problematic under the circumstances. In that testimony in one area could be used in another area, and it would open doors that aren't ready to be opened at this time. Or it could simply be that the government made a mistake, or they mischaracterized something. And that can be an honest mistake rather than a malicious one. And what you'll find very frequently with government is that most of the mistakes are rather honest. The problem with them is not in their malice. Of course, a malicious government going after you would be tyranny. I have not claimed this to be the case. I've specifically stated that the system is levied against the citizen in a way that makes you feel oppressed, because it does. It is a grinding system that crushes you into nothing. The imbalance of power between an individual citizen, even one represented by a badass attorney or whatever the hell you want to say, versus a government is astronomical. And it's why we put higher burdens on the government. We can wax poetic all day about just how effective those burdens are and how effectively they're adhered to in the actual judicial process. There's a long fucking conversation to have there, and it existed long before my case, and it'll exist long after my case. The balance of power in government restrictions that can only be enforced on the government by itself has always been a logical problem with governance. If the only police of the police is the police, how effective are they at policing themselves? Our founders tried to recognize this and set up branches of government both laterally, horizontally, I guess, vertically and horizontally. That's the Republican form of our multi-house government, right? You have the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. That's your horizontal plane. Your vertical plane would be federal government, state governments, county governments, municipal governments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Down into the smallest, which would be, I guess the individual themselves. All of those levels of government interact with each other, and all of them have distinct rights and powers. And some of them have rights and powers that check the others. It's a system that's designed to prevent the very concerns that are raised, but it can't be perfect at it. And so you do run across instances where government agents may misstate something, either maliciously or innocently. And unless there is someone specifically there to raise a challenge and then have their credibility outweigh the government's credibility, you're going to have that mistake enter the record. And it takes a lot to correct that. It also takes good counsel. And people do not always have good counsel. People do not always have counsel at all. And all of these things snowball into this mess that we have of a legal system. And in some ways, it really, really sucks. And in other ways, it's still the best one on the entire planet. I don't want to be under the thumb of any legal system, and I would suggest that you probably don't want to either. But those are the realities that we're faced with when we have government and have to interact with it in a hostile or adversarial way. So that's my little soapbox on the issue. But if you hear me suggest that maybe something in some document is not true, well, there's lots of things that aren't true. There's lots of things that get stated by government specifically that aren't true or aren't correct. Correcting those things takes time, it takes effort, and it takes careful strategy and planning. And just know this, I'm fighting literally every single day when I'm not on camera, which you'll note is rare these days. I'm fighting behind the scenes for my family and for my own liberty, and consequently for yours as well, because there are liberty issues at play here. And if people take a step back and look at this situation and say, would I want to be in this situation under those circumstances that the government has used? You can make your decision on how you would answer that. I know how I do, but I'm a little biased in the situation, you could understand. So, that being said, if I can correct small mistakes made by government or omissions, whether malicious or incidental, is irrelevant to me. If I can correct those things for you guys, I will. If I can't, look, I'm just not going to answer that question. And that's part of it too. And here's what I know about that. This is my last bit of blabbering about it before we start getting into some topics of choice tonight is this. I 100% realize that court and the court of public opinion are completely different. And I 100% realize that people will judge me absent any of the rules or restrictions that are imposed on government. If I don't say something, the public will make a judgment about that. And the consequence is that I have to just deal with it.
You chose to break the law.
Now,
live with the
issues,
consequences.
I may try and correct them. Or people have basic legal misunderstandings, I may try and correct them. Here's a friendly one to whoever runs the Gunt News Network. You said in your tweet about the order that was released the other day that neither I nor my wife intervened on behalf of our children. There's a very simple reason why. An intervener is a non-party to the suit who would then step in the place of a party to take over the suit if they had some sort of interest. Taking it out of the context of my case, and I said this earlier on Locals. If you're watching on Locals, I'm sorry, you're probably bored with this. taking it out of the context of my case and putting it in the context of, say, an election fraud lawsuit like we saw in 2020. You may have a statute which requires the Secretary of State to bring suit against the state government or the state board of elections if there's some sort of maybe very close result that will trigger a mandatory runoff. That may require legal action from one party. Now, let's say that a Democrat Secretary of State is required by law to bring suit against a candidate who just won the Democratic election in a state, or I guess against the Elections Commission for a candidate of their same party. The presumption would be they may not go on against their own party very hard. So what you'll often find in that case is the opposing party or the opposing party candidate would intervene in the lawsuit, and they would then make sure that the lawsuit is pursued vigorously. Or, for example, if a Secretary of State is sued about maybe a gun policy, a highly volatile or controversial issue, you may have a gun rights activist group take over in that lawsuit because that might be a more vigorous defense or offense in the suit. That's an intervener. So if you say that we have not intervened on behalf of our children, that would be, I guess, technically correct, but that's only because we cannot intervene. We are already parties to that suit. So just a minor correction of a legal misunderstanding, things like that I can talk about, and I can try and clear up and provide a little bit of an educational aspect to them. Going beyond that, obviously I'm not going to talk legal strategy. I can't talk about various disagreements I may have with things that are presented as fact, but those will be addressed in the courtroom or in motion practice, etc., etc., etc. With all that, I do thank everybody for their continued most important thing, which is offers of prayers, good thoughts, and support for my family, particularly my children. This is not a fun time for them, and as much of it as it's not a fun time for me, they're far more important than I ever have been. That's always been true in my entire life.
He's an intervener.
Decide what they will based on the facts that
it really is,
and what they determine about me.
And welcome to the stream. Sadly, we're almost at the end. Went over some Nick Rekietas stuff.
Because I'm sorry to say this, your opinion doesn't mean fucking shit. No matter who you are out there, if you're not my government involved in my case with my family, your opinion's going to take a back burner to everything else I need to do. And if that means you have a negative opinion of me, cool. See, on the flip side, all will out at some point.
I really don't want to be in this situation. I really don't envy that. Like, you have one lawsuit against Vito Pito going on. On the other hand, you're having your own lawsuit to deal with. Everyone hates you. Everyone's turning on you. That's just that must be rough. I think there's one clip left, one segment of Mad at the Internet now pretty much confirming that the leaked document of Kiwi Farms is legit. Let me get that link.
And there was speculation if it's real or not, because the order is very sloppy.
It's a segment.
It's both a detriment to it because it's unprofessional, but it's also a positive to it because when these orders are done, they usually call the judge up at an odd hour. Things are explained kind of hastily, and the judge kind of takes a template and edits it so that it can be actioned immediately that evening. So it being kind of sloppy and weird and things spelled wrong and stuff, that is more of a credit to its authenticity. When I asked a Minnesota attorney to look at it and tell me if he thinks it's accurate, he gave it about a 60% being accurate, which I think was a fair approximation if you're being conservative. Then I looked at certain metadata, which I'm not going to disclose, and I was 90% sure that this is a real document. And then right before the stream was supposed to happen, Rekieta messaged me and started saying, debating the information inside the document, not the authenticity of the document itself, saying the information about hydrolyzing I got from him because that's his defense. So I said I'm 100% sure at this point in time that this is an authentic document, because when Rekieta addresses it, he's addressing it as the document is real, but the facts inside of it are false allegations from the state. So that's definitely what happened. And whoever dropped this in such a way to cause him a problem, because right before the stream he was hoping to make this like a normal Rekieta law tubing thing. But then, of course, the news that broke right before he went live was that his child tested positive for cocaine, which caused Robert Barnes to freak out and say, look, the Kiwi Farms are obsessing over his children again, which is something I really don't appreciate. And I might as well explain. When Patrick Tomlinson sued 50 John Does in Michigan, one of the Kiwi Farms got hit with a subpoena from the court. And I challenged this, and I asked Rekietas, do you know a Michigan attorney? And he referred me to Robert Barnes. Barnes represented me. He charged $5,000 to make an appearance. And in the appearance, the judge effectively asked him why he even bothered, because the information was already gathered. But I had lawyered up because I didn't want him to get information he didn't need for the purposes of his civil litigation. But it was $5,000 basically just to have Robert Barnes show up over Zoom, I'm pretty sure, and make an appearance for us, which is the full extent of our association. But the problem is that Robert Barnes has represented Lolcow LLC, which is the parent company that owns the Kiwi Farms that I am the sole member of. And when he goes out onto live stream and he says that the Kiwi Farms is after someone's children, is wanting body cam footage to prey on children, I kind of detest that, and I'm considering filing an ethics complaint against him, because it's very reasonable for a person to hear my attorney say that the Kiwi Farms is after children and infer that he has some kind of protected knowledge regarding the Kiwi Farms and its activities when he does not, and he's just being a dickhead.
You chose to broke the law. Live with the consequences.
And he should not be
You chose to broke the law.
About a former client.
Live with the
I'm
consequences.
extremely upset about it, because, you know, you have random dickheads who say dumb shit all the fucking time. Robert Barnes is the first random dickhead saying dumb shit about us that happened to be our attorney at one point in time. And it's getting very close to being like a genuine ethics violation. And I'm considering that it might be worth it. Because not only has he said this about the Kiwi Farms, he implied in the same breath that Legal Mindset is a sex tourist. And Legal Mindset's a member of the board as well. He sits, I think, in Florida's bar.
Yeah, Josh sucks. He sucks ass. He's, I don't like him, but this segment was kind of important. It confirms that the leaked documents are like legit. And Nick's kid has tested positive for cocaine, which is really, really sad and dark. I don't know, man. At this point, I wouldn't put it past him if he gave his own kid cocaine to deal with the night terrors or whatever. That's really sad. But that's the end of the stream. Pretty much played everything I had. And thank you. I want to thank everyone for swinging by. I'll be a-logging Nick for a while because I find his story very interesting. And with that, let's end the stream.
Pre-bag music on. Gout systems checking. Gout system loading. Gout system online. Buffing snorts. Snorts loaded and ready. Scaling for wheelchairs. Targets found. Loading drum.
I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Checked. Gout system loading. Gout system online. Gout System Online. Gout System Online. Gout. Gout. Gout System Online. Gout System loading. Gout System Online. Gout System loading. Gout System Online.